In a rural environment, you're at risk of Parkinson's, so please, 5 cups of coffee a day. The antioxidants in coffee, as you can see, the 5 cups a day decreases your chance of getting Parkinson's by 85%. That's amazing. That's a drug. Coffee is a wonderful chemical drug that some of us view as a food. Now, something you don't often view as a food is marijuana. And that's an issue in many ballots, of course, here in Ohio as well. And what you're looking at is a cross-section of a brain from an animal and from some of my laboratory research here at OSU. And we've discovered that marijuana is able to reduce inflammation. What you're looking at there, all those blue dots, are inflammatory cells, angry, oxidative, inflammatory cells, chewing up the hippocampus so you can't learn in memory. All you need do is smoke 1 puff of marijuana a day, 1 puff, all right? Maybe a patch, maybe a nasal spray, and look at what happens. The inflammation goes away. Neurogenesis restarted. These animals are smarter. 35 years I've been looking at chemicals to try and make old animals smarter. You can make any young animal smarter. Who cares? You know, they're 6, they're smart. But an old person, it's really tough to reverse things. This is the first compound in the hundreds that I've tested that has ever worked in an old brain. So, my recommendation to you is to, yes. Donuts, coffee, lots and lots of coffee, and just 1 puff a day. And chocolate. Wonderfully dark, rich, colorful antioxidants in chocolate. The great news is that the more chocolate you eat, the longer you live, and the sad news is that it only works in men. Yes. Thank you. My work here is done. Okay, so chocolate has antioxidants in it. It has estrogen alkaloids. And the wonderful thing about chocolate is that men don't have much estrogen, so they benefit from that estrogen. It has marijuana-like compounds in it. It has fats. It releases opiates. If it wasn't already illegal, it would be made illegal, at least, you know, in some states. Probably Kentucky. But anyway, what we know is that if you don't want to eat chocolate, and if you're a woman and it's not going to help anyway, then caloric restriction. Just eat a little less. That's the idea. So let's take a look at a couple of friends of mine. This is Owen and Canto. They were involved in a study where Owen, as you can see, was allowed to visit McDonald's and eat all he wanted every day. Canto, his brother, no, 30% less. He didn't eat 30% as many calories. You've heard of these kinds of things. In the past 50 years, hundreds of studies have looked at everything from single-cell organisms to primates and never humans yet. And what we find is that they're healthier. In the studies I've done, their hair doesn't turn gray, they don't develop cataracts, they're smarter, the inflammation doesn't happen in their brain, so if you do eat less food, you don't have to eat so much chocolate, you don't have to smoke so much dope, you don't need to drink so much coffee. Keep eating. So what's the recommendation? Just eat less. Take in fewer carbon bonds. You won't need as much oxygen. So at the Brain Cafe, we serve breakfast and lunch because if you eat breakfast and lunch, we find that even if you ate the same number of calories and skipped dinner or had minimal dinner, you don't gain as much weight. You don't develop metabolic disorder. There's something about eating late in our biorhythm that's so hazardous. So eat less. Eat about 1/3 less like Canto, and eat it early in the day. Breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. You've heard that before. Why? What good is it going to do to you? Well, if we look at the human studies, and even studies with animals like rats and monkeys, this is a compilation of that work, what you can see is that cancers are significantly reduced. So you're not going to live longer, but you're going to be healthier while you are alive. So hepatomas, liver cancers, lymphomas, all tumors. And even if you don't get a tumor, the function of your organs is better. So kidney function is better. Muscle function doesn't decline. These animals are stronger. So the idea is that eat less, take in few carbon bonds, need less oxygen, your tissues suffer less. So there is obviously a point that you don't go beyond. Now, the sort of extrapolation of this advice would be to eat nothing, right? Eat very, very little. I'm not suggesting that. Because you need strength in your bones, right? You need to move around. You want to have the strength to live a life in the quality that you want to live it. So eat enough. Exercise a little bit. But just keep in mind, all those carbon bonds you take in to move you around through the world have a cost. And that cost is the burning of oxygen. And the oxygen's presence in your body is harmful. And the consequence of it is that your hair turns gray, you get cataracts, you develop metabolic disorders, kidney failure, muscle failure, all right? So that's the alternative. So when you come to the Brain Cafe, we're going to welcome you in and say, please, come in, have a seat, order nothing. We don't serve large glasses of sodas like New York City doesn't. All right? We will offer you some chocolate and some coffee and some donuts and some marijuana in the back room, but please use it wisely. So the idea, the takeaway point, eat wisely, meaning try to eat colorful things to protect you from the oxygen that you must breathe to survive, and eat less, take in fewer carbon bonds so that you don't need so much oxygen. Why? Because in the hour that you've been here this morning, 2% of all of the oxygen molecules that you've inhaled have been converted into free radicals. 2% in 1 hour. That's like almost 1.5 lungfuls of air. All right? So you've all aged a little bit just sitting here. We know we do that. But when you ask the question, how can I slow it down? This is the answer. All right? Eat less. It's very simple. It'll save you money. You can throw away those tennis shoes. Save a lot of money. All right? Thank you very much.